Hi, this is Cassandra from Cassie's Fun Creations. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pocket on the back of your mask so it can hold filters. I use coffee filters. You can use napkins, you can use paper towels. It's just something for an extra layer of protection. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to figure out how many actually pegs did you use when you made your mask. Now this one was 18 pegs. So however many pegs you used, you're going to need to add 2 to that. So I'm going to actually, since this was 18 pegs, I'm going to make 20 rows. And that's just how many rows you're going to start with. Now, how wide do you want your pocket to be? Well, I figured out that if I'm going to make this for this size mask, I want my pocket to be 17 pegs wide. And that means it's going to be possibly this wide. Okay, if you can see, approximately this wide. So if you're going to be making a mask that is 18 pegs this length, you're going to want to make it 17. Now why is it an odd number? Because we have these 3 up here, and we're going to be making this and then hand sewing it to the top and to the bottom only, so it's open on both sides. So if you have one that is this side, which is 18 pegs, you're going to make your pocket 1 smaller. So whatever your mask is. So if your mask is 16 pegs that you knitted on to make the mask, you're going to make the pocket 15 pegs, and so on. Okay? So, okay, let's go ahead and let's get started making the actual pocket. Now, first of all, you're going to need to make a slip knot, but you're going to be sewing this onto the actual mask, so leave a nice long tail. Okay? Go ahead, slip it on to the first peg. Stick my tail underneath so it's out of the way. Let's go ahead and just knit on our pegs. That's 8. That is 17. Now I'm simply going to turn this peg. You don't skip any pegs, you turn it and then just go back. My tail's still out of there. Now this pattern couldn't be any easier. It's simply, you're going to knit back and forth, and you're going to do it for your required amount of rows, which I said if you had 19 pegs you did it on, you're going to add 2. So we're simply going to go back and forth for 21 rows. So all I'm going to do is push those down. They don't have to go down all the way. Halfway is fine. Just make sure when you get to the ends, do not skip that peg. Go ahead and turn it, knit back, and do this for your amount of rows. So for me, I have 19 rows across for my actual pegs, so I'm going to do this for 17 rows. Get your rows, come back, and we'll finish it up. Okay, I have my 21 rows done. Now all I need to do is I need to bind off. On the first 2, and you only do this in the first 2, turn around it, loop around the second one, toss them both over. Okay. Now you're going to move the one from the second peg onto the first peg, and toss that over. Move that one over. to the other peg. Now toss over the one on the second peg, loop over, move the one from the second peg to the first peg, pull that down, toss over, and you're always keeping a gentle tug on your yarn. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose. So loop over, toss over, move the one from the second peg over to the first peg, and toss over and move it back. Now go ahead and do that all the way until you only have 3 pegs left. Down to my last 3 pegs, I'm just going to continue. Now go ahead and we're going to cut a nice long tail again. And then I'm just going to pull it through. All right, now keep that to the side. I've grabbed a darning needle. It's just a plastic one. You can use whichever one you want. Now, I like to use my masks since they curl in. That's the front. This is the back. All right. Now it's going to go like this, and the reason we have the extra length is because we're going to be sewing it in. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to fold this in half. And I want the more stretchy side, I want that in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start sewing on this side. Just going to thread my needle. Yes, I know they have needle threaders. I have them. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not. And I'm just going to try to line this up the best of my ability. So that goes up at the top, and this goes down to the sides. And I'm just going to start at the side. And I'm just going to go side to side. Just kind of grabbing the top loops. And try to keep it. You don't want to make it tight. So my tendency is to try to pull tight. I don't want to pull tight. Just trying to gently sew it. Now if you don't want it to go all the way from the end to the end, you don't have to. You can make it shorter or longer, whichever one you want. You can make it out of different material. It doesn't have to be the same material as the mask. And that's why when I made this mask, I only used 1 layer of yarn as compared to 2, because I knew I was going to be doubling it up anyway. Trying to pay extra attention around the nose area. Now you see why I had you leave a very long tail. Remember, this one was 17 across, so you could make it shorter, a lot shorter. I wouldn't make it any longer. Okay, get that back on. Now, if it gets too small, too tight for you down here, grab your crochet hook and use that. Okay. And you can even go in side by side if you need to, which I'm going to do right here. And I'm going to leave it right there. That's I'm going to have to use a crochet hook to tie a knot. Okay, I've got that side sewed on. I need to get this side sewed on. Now this one's tighter, so it's not going to go all the way to the edges, but it's the bottom, so I'm not worried about that. So what I'm going to do, and this, because this is the cast on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to measure. Okay, this one goes down to this side, and this one goes down to this side, so I'm going to move it up over a little bit. And that looks good. And this one has a knot in it, so I'm going to push the knot on the inside so we don't see it. And then I'm going to start from here. I've already gone ahead and put my thread on the needle. All right. I'm going to do this exact same thing that we did on the other side. I'm going to go side to side. Make sure that needle wants to, that knot wants to come back up, so I'm going to push it back under. Trying to hide it in there in the seam. All right. Now it looks like the pocket's all bunched up. It won't be once we, number one, put it on, and number two, lay it out. But you don't want it to be too tight, otherwise when you put the mask on, it's really tight and it won't feel good on your face. Okay. And I like the length I made this one for my cast on, so I'm going to have to remember when I do the cast off to leave myself a much longer tail. It's always better to leave too much than not enough. And I'm getting pretty close. Yep, I think that's about where the end is. So I'm going to go ahead and make a knot. Go ahead and make another knot. And then all I would have to do is weave those in. But now, when I pull the mask out, it has this nice big pocket. Now, I've been saying I've been using coffee filters, and I have. This was just a coffee filter, and it was folded up like this, and I cut off the edge like that, and I cut off the smaller edge, and then I open it up. And then I've already pre-measured it, but what I did is I take the part that's the nose, which is up there, okay, and I pre-measured it so I could go ahead and put it in, and I use my fingers to go in like this so that the top part is up there and the top part's down here, and then just use my fingers to make sure that that coffee filter is all the way at the top. Now, I'm not so worried about being all the way at the bottom, because when I put my mask on, this is going to be under my chin. But I want to make sure that it's all the way up there at the top. You can just feel around with your fingers, make sure it goes all the way to the top. Now, here's another thing you could do if you wanted to, and this is up to you. If you want to, on your pocket, if you want to put a wire in, okay, and you can use any type of wire. You can use a tie from your bread ties, or sometimes they have those little bags and they tie like a red tie around that, or you can use a pipe cleaner. Simply take any type of your thread, tie it on there, and just tie so you make a little tiny casing right here at the top. And if you make that little tiny casing, you can then take, like, let's say you have that casing, you could take this and stick it in through the top, and you would have a little tiny casing right here at the top for your wire. Just remember, if you use your wire, take it out before you do any of the washing and stuff. I know some people have been trying to put theirs in the microwave. I don't recommend that, because some masks have metal, and metal is not going to be good for your microwave. So here's, we have our mask. We now have a back pocket, so we can put things inside of that pocket. And I just wanted to help show how to make this with the pocket. So now it's 2 layers for one. Number 2, it has a pocket, so you can stick things inside of it, just like that. And I hope that helps. I hope that's something that's helpful to you. And thank you again so much for watching my video. Please like and subscribe.